And we are live, and welcome into a Wednesday edition of PhillyVoice Sports Bets. I am Harry Mays. Follow me on Twitter at HarryMaysTU. We got Devan Kaney in the upper right-hand corner. Follow her on Twitter at Devan_Kaney. And it wouldn't be a show without Shander Show. Eytan Shander in the lower box. Follow him on Twitter at Shander Show. Welcome in, guys. We got a lot to discuss for our second episode because the whole sports talk world in Philadelphia is a buzz, a flutter, with, to me, much ado about nothing. But it is the start of August, and we don't have games yet to talk about, so we have to overanalyze every throw that Jalen Hurts makes in practice and evaluate. There's literally columns on verified websites that are tracking throw by throw by throw. They're putting up poll questions on lousy sports talk shows to see if this is something to be concerned about. I mean, I'd love to get your thoughts on this before we get into some over-unders on Jalen Hurts.
You know what? This is my favorite and least favorite time of year because it's like a Philadelphia tradition, right? We're so excited for NFL season. We're so excited the Birds are back. But we do this thing every training camp where we overanalyze and either get overexcited or overly concerned about usually our quarterback, in this case, Jalen Hurts' performance in practice. I was at training camp yesterday.
Right.
Yeah, you can watch him throw the ball, but it's practice. There's a ton of stuff going on. They're not in full pads most of the time. I don't understand how people are able to jump to these conclusions, but I just like to go back to what Jason Kelce said. I believe it was last week in training camp where he said, you know what? This team tends to do better when people doubt us and don't expect much from us, and poorly when people have high expectations. So I'm kind of okay with it because I want everyone to be pleasantly, including myself, pleasantly surprised when Jalen Hurts comes out in an actual game and performs well after all these ridiculous reports.
You know, and just on the same vein of what you were saying, Devin, and what Harry opened up with as far as just talking about nothing and making every day in training camp, like a Seinfeld episode. But the reality is this, which is I think we are all, and not you and I and Harry, but anybody and everybody that gets wrapped up in this, I think we're lost in something at least as obvious to me, which is there's going to be a pretty wide gray area. Like Jalen Hurts would have to royally, I think, screw this up and regress to not get some sort of level of commitment. And I don't think Jalen Hurts has to turn into Josh Allen this year in order to get that same level of commitment. Doesn't mean that fans like it, doesn't mean that media will like it, what have you. But let's be honest. I mean, I know the Eagles have a quarterback issue, a relationship issue as far as long-term commitment issue. But I think at this point, unless there is somebody coming out of college, which I don't think they'll be in that strong position to grab, this is Jalen Hurts moving forward. Yet the conversation is like, he's a missed pass from A.J. Brown away from losing this job. And I'm like, whoa. Let's look at this realistically here.
Well, now you were down there yesterday, Devin, so you can give us a firsthand account. I mean, I understand yesterday he did have a pretty good practice. In fact, there was some saying that it was his best yet.
He did. So I can't confirm that it was his best yet because that was my first day at training camp, but He looked great to me. Again, you guys have been to training camp before, I'm sure. There's a lot going on. I know you can kind of see how people are doing and how players are performing, but it's also practice. And Jalen Hurts, to me, is not a practice quarterback. We see how he performs so well under pressure and under the bright lights of game day. I just don't think it's fair to evaluate him, whether it's good or bad, at 9:00 when it's 100 degrees out in August and he's half a mile away down the field.
Shorts.
It's just ridiculous to evaluate that, but he looked good. I thought everyone looked good. And also, guys, one more point on the other side of things, maybe your defense is just really good. Has anyone ever thought about that?
That's true. It's a fair point.
And the only thing they need to do is just get to the quarterback and then everything's going to be fine on this end. But let me just add this real quick because I think it's something that pops up a lot and is lost in conversation, which is Jalen Hurts creates. Jalen Hurts understands that when something breaks down, he can use his feet to open things up to create a passing lane. It's not just a running lane. And that's what I think, Devin, the point is that I took away from what you were saying, which is, nobody's going full speed. This isn't tackle to the ground. This isn't, what do I do? A defender is lost here. I can take advantage of that. This is just play to the whistle, which is pretty quick. So, a good day or a bad day might solely be limited on one small metric, which is not what's going to win or lose a game for Jalen Hurts.
Right. Now, I still have some doubts about him as the guy for this team moving forward, but I'm not making every day of practice a referendum on whether the guy is the quarterback.
Would you be if you were down there, though? Like, what else are you going to do to kill the time? Otherwise, look over at Zach Berman and be like, dude, this guy sucks. And then next be like, oh, he's awesome.
Is that what people are doing? They're just bored, so they feel they need to make, a throw-by-throw referendum on the kid as the future quarterback?
You know what I was doing? I was amazed by the size of Jordan Davis. That's what caught my attention.
Oh, okay.
Huge. But he's not like a sloppy individual, right, Devin?
No, he's not. And I actually met him earlier this year when I hosted Maxwell Football Awards, and I got to interview him. And I'm a tall person, and I've never interviewed someone where I was holding the mic.
Wait a second. How tall are you?
Straight up. What's that?
How tall are you?
5'10".
Okay, so with reach, and you've got reach, right? So mid sixes with reach, you would say? Like 6'4", 6'5"?
The largest, I think taller than, I want to say like 6'6".
No, your reach, like your wingspan, but like reach. Like you've got 5'10" with reach. And you may still not be up to his head.
He is gigantic, but not sloppy. He and Jordan Mailata are just giants, and it's so fascinating to watch on the field.
All right, let's get to some numbers here regarding Jalen Hurts, because I looked up on DraftKings yesterday for an over-under on passing yards. And you might have some others you want to talk about, but 3650 and a half, 3,650.5 is the number. Over or under, it's at -110. Last year, he had 3,144 yards passing, and he only played 15 games. Remember, he missed the Jets game where they kind of was he benched or something for that game? I even forget. And then he didn't play against Dallas in the season finale. So he played only 15 games and almost came up with 3,200 yards with kind of a middling core of wide receivers. Add A.J. Brown to this mix. And what do you guys think? I think this is a stone over.
All right, let me jump in real quick, because this is the worst thing to do, right? When you're just giving opinions and throwing things out. But when we add the betting world into it, and you two know as well as anybody, a pass is as good as I'm not losing money on something. So here's why, I'm inclined to lean under, but I'm not, because of what you laid out with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert is healthy, and what have you with the increase. Also a healthy line. But real quick. When they were at their best last year, it wasn't even close. It was taking the football and shoving it down other teams' throats. And all I'm saying is, if the passing stuff isn't working to what they think, it's going to be really hard to ignore how successful they can be on the ground, even without Miles Sanders. So that's the only reason why I would I'm staying away from this bet, and I would be inclined to lean under, which I know isn't the sexy thing to do because everybody wants the kid to throw for 5,000, Devin.
I totally agree with you. I'm definitely going under, because I think everyone's overly excited about, as they should be, so maybe not overly, about the passing game. We have A.J. Brown now. We still have Devontae Smith. Jalen Hurts has been working on his game despite the reports. But we need to keep in mind that this team is incredible on the ground, as is Jalen Hurts. And I think that is still a strength that the Eagles should capitalize on. I don't think that we should necessarily just become this pass-heavy team. So that being said, I know, Eytan, as you said, it's not the sexy answer, but I got to go under with that.
Well, I'm going sexy. I'm going over. I'm going big sexy on the over for Jalen Hurts at 3650 and a half. Now, another one, you brought up the name Dallas Goedert. So I looked him up. His number is 700.5 yards receiving for the year. Last year, he had 830 yards receiving in 15 games. And by the way, Jalen Hurts was inactive during that Jets game.
Right.
I think he had the ankle
Minshew,
issue.
Yeah, and they didn't need to rush him back with Minshew.
Correct. That was Minshew mania that week at the Meadowlands. But the Goddard total of 700.5 is juiced to the under at minus 120. Give me your thoughts?
Ooh. Do you have his receptions, or did you just pull his?
I just pulled the yardage.
This is another one where, I mean, logically you would think they're throwing more. You're going over for Hurts. You would take overs for these guys. What I would really like to do is take Goddard's over on receptions, because I think that's going to open up, especially as A.J. Brown comes in and plays well. Receiving yards, I don't know.
All right, I'm going to look up the.
I'm really confident to go over receptions, but receiving yards.
Okay, so you like the number of catches over.
Well,
more than the yards.
I feel like it's an easier variable to control so long as he's healthy, because the middle of the field and how they use him is going to be open more often with Brown, Smith, Quez Watkins, the opportunity to run the ball and open up lanes that way. Like, Goddard should have they all should have a field day out there respectively. So I get that, but we just sat here, Harry, Devin and I, and told you that Hurts ain't hitting 3,500. So
right.
I can't think it's all going to be Goddard either.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up. So I'm tempted to take the over because I don't remember how many drops and fumbles he had last season, but there were a few just like boneheaded plays that got it. I think he's an incredible tight end, but there were a few plays that were just really frustrating to watch last season. So I'm hoping that he works on that and has been working on that. And for that reason, maybe over.
All right. Okay. All right, I would tend to go over on that as well, but maybe I'm just giddy about the Eagles.
Not Josh
this
Giddey.
August. No, but let's talk about the Phillies, because they made a bunch of moves yesterday. I was talking to Devin pre-show and told her that I don't really bet baseball. I know Eytan gets involved on a daily basis. Do any of these moves, Brandon Marsh coming over from the Angels, 24-year-old, former second-round pick. They gave up a big prospect for him, a catching prospect who, I guess was blocked at the major league level because of Raul Muto, but they get Brandon Marsh out of Los Angeles. David Robertson is back. Yeah. He's healthy and having a great year to be added to an already strong bullpen. And then at the end, at the wire, they go get Noah Syndergaard, who was also with the Angels, I believe, with former New York Met, to add into this this starting rotation. Does this change your viewpoint, Eytan, on the Phillies on a nightly basis? I know they got smoked last night, 13-1 against Atlanta.
Well, here's the thing. Devin's got the Phil's hat on.
I do.
I know.
So I think she's going to hit let's see what she's swinging here with this hammer, because I'll follow up.
Yeah, I decided to rock the Phil's hat because despite their performance last night, I'm excited about them. I think that these additions make them a better team. And for the first time in a very long time, a decade to be exact, I think I was about to call them the Eagles, the Phillies can make it to the postseason. I want to see Phillies baseball in the fall. It has been too long. I'm really excited about the Syndergaard addition. I know he's not the player he was when he was with the Mets, but I still think he is a value add. And I think that these additions will be a boost, maybe not the boost the Phils need to, go all the way, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, think about it. If you woke up on Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Monday morning, expecting that the Phillies were going to do something to make the push to the World Series or contend in the NLCS, you were misleading yourself from the jump. That was never going to happen. Luis Castillo comes over here, and that's not all of it, because there are other holes, there are issues, there are injuries that you have to get around. The fact that there's a gap between the Mets, Braves, and where they are still, like there are things around that. So I looked at it, and speaking of which, since we're on Philly Voice, might as well just push it. The column that I put out today on the Phillies is just that. Whereas this is all about your own expectations. If your expectations, similar to what Devin just laid out, Harry, are the Phillies have to make the playoffs first. The Phillies have to just end this drought. They have to stop embarrassing themselves and just make it to the playoffs. Embiid and Simmons just lose in the first or second round and then build from that. We see growth happen. Then how are you upset They added a guy who's a third, fourth game pitcher. They added depth, especially a glove at center field. They added a lockdown 8 guy this year, at least he's been, in Robertson. They did everything they possibly could to ensure that they're going to be a playoff team, or at least have every shot to do that. I'm happy.
And they DFA'd Familia and Herrera, which I think excited the fan base more than the actual acquisitions that they made.
Well, you buried the lead, right?
Yeah,
you buried the lead. That's the thing. They DFA'd Familia. They could have done nothing, and it would have been a win.
Dombrowski would have been applauded for
build
just
a
doing
statue, like they did for Pinkman and Walter White. You see that?
Yeah, yes.
No, I didn't. There's a statue for the Breaking Bad?
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah.
This is on the level of Rocky now that they have there, where they've got Walter White. Like, what's going on? Look, I get it. You know, Rocky, first off, that was a classic, the first movie, and a piece of art and what have you here. But, like, what is going on in Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Not enough.
Where there is a statue. And I love that show. It's one of my all-time favorites.
Me too.
But come on.
Yeah. Well, you can go up in a hot air balloon. That's a big thing to do in New Mexico, from what I understand. There's a lot of art. It's an artsy-fartsy community down there.
I love that.
In New
Sign
Mexico.
me up for that. I just, you know.
All right, there's a golf tournament this weekend. I know we in our final couple minutes here on Philly Voice Bets. And by the way, check out the YouTube page for Philly Voice. Hit the like button, subscribe, the whole schmear.
Hey, Harry, real quick. I'm going to be fast, but on the Phillies tonight, Wheeler. 8 Ks, you're going to get a pretty good return on that. There is an interesting parlay if you want. Kikuchi is pitching. He's pretty much a lock for 5 Ks. 5+ is going to be the plus money. I'm going to stay away from that. So what I did is I parlayed Kikuchi 5 Ks. Last time he was out against the Rays, he had 8. But just look at the last 4 or 5 starts. 5 is the floor with Wheeler at 8 Ks. That's the risk here. Wheeler, of course, at 8. But came off 8 Ks last outing, last month. Basically all but one start, he had 8 Ks. So Braves strike out more than everybody. Really, actually 2 teams. So just jumped. I just wanted to throw it in there. Kikuchi, 5 Ks. Wheeler, 8 Ks parlay.
The people love when you parlay Kikuchi. I've been told that by many folks who follow us. And you can follow us also on our chalkboard, too. Did you post that on the Mays and Eytan chalkboard page?
Yep, we'll definitely put that out there.
All right, love Kikuchi. But the final week of the PGA Tour season before the playoffs is this week in North Carolina, at Sedgefield Country Club, the Wyndham Championship. I'm just going to throw one out here. I'm Siwoo Kim, who has had 3 top 5s in the last 3 years at this tournament. He loves this place. Plus, he won it back, I believe, in 2016. Loves Bermuda grass, the Bermuda greens, putts him really well. I'm taking him on DK's 8,800, plus 2,500 to win the tournament, and I'm putting him in my one-and-done pool. Siwoo Kim, what do you think, Eytan?
Wow. Was not on my radar, but definitely has been playing well, exceptionally well, and just looking at the last 3 events, including this one as the third, it's easy tracks that you can be accurate and need to really set up opportunities to score right with your wedge play. So he fits the bill by all means. I took a long shot in Justin Rose 50-1, simply because if you're a model person out there and you like to look at metrics and you like to look at, certain stats, which is tough in golf to quantify anything, I get it. He's one of these guys that pops up top 5, top 10 in a couple of key areas throughout the field. So, look, people are 50-1 long shots for a reason. I get it, but just
hey, sometimes they hit.
Yeah, just something I'm throwing out there. So
yeah,
that's all. Is there anything across the board? Doesn't have to be golf, but anything at all that you were looking at, Devan?
No, aside from Phillies, no.
Okay, yeah, Phil's tonight.
Golf better.
No. I know. It's fine. It's a tough sport, and I've done a lot. I've immersed myself a lot into it this year, and the variance of the game alone is impossible to call. And then you add the odds, and then you add everything else. It's almost like, what would you call it? Like sadistic in the self, like when you harm, like you hurt yourself for pleasure.
Masochistic.
Yeah.
We're masochists if we play golf, and especially betting on it. All right, one final.
By the way,
thing.
Phil's bounced back tonight. That was a bullpen. Nick
Oh,
Nelson
absolutely.
nonsense.
Yeah, that was going to be my bet. I'm taking Phillies tonight. I think plus 122.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
There
you go. Plus 122 in Atlanta.
On the money line, and they're not going up against a rookie who owns them. Sign me up.
Okay, one final thing. RIP to the best baseball announcer to ever do it, Vin Scully, 94 years old. I could listen to this guy recite the phone book, guys. He was just a joy to listen to. You think about all those great World Series calls. He even called the Masters for 7 years back in the mid-'70s and early '80s for CBS. He was just the best.
Well said. The only thing I would add to that, and I hate the fact that I have to add to that because you didn't really close the show, so I didn't know if you wanted to close the show on that or not, is Vince Scully is the only name, and rest in peace for sure, that would pop up when it comes to like all-time announcers or the best announcer, and nobody here would have to interject with, well, Harry. Well, come on, Harry. We've got Harry Callis. Like, it was known that, like, you could respect Harry Callis as the legend and the impact that he made across the board when it came to broadcasting, and also recognize that Vince Scully is just probably the most recognizable voice you would hear all time. That's all.
No doubt about it. All right. Once again, we've gone over our allotted time.
That's your fault.
Yeah, that's totally my fault.
Guys.
I apologize, but we'll be back on Friday.
Devin's turn on Friday.
That's right.
We're going an hour, guys. Get ready.
All right. Once again, what's your play with the Wheeler tonight, Eytan?
Wheeler 8Ks parlayed with Kikuchi 5Ks.
All right. Very good. See you Friday.